I'm Tristram Hertslet from Reardon Farms. We've got properties from Bungunya down through Mungandai. We're in the Border Rivers catchment, and our main impact watercourses are the McIntyre Barwon, the Weir River catchment, and locally the Worrell Creek catchment. I've been out in that area along that floodplain for the last 14 years. We've had numerous floods, it'd be dozens. I think there was 5 in the last season, which is a bit out of the ordinary. There's not one event that's the same as the next one, they're all a little bit different, so it's pretty important to monitor all the different watercourses that are going to affect us and feed down towards us. We try and use as much information that we can, predominantly the river height gauges on the BOM river height bulletin and the BOM rainfall bulletin. The notice we get before a flood can vary. If it's a local rain event that's coming, local rain down the local watercourses, it can be short and sharp. If it's a rainfall event further up in the catchment, we get a fair bit of notice. Could be 5 to 7 days in a large event, and it depends whether one system's activated or 2 or 3 at once. The times we get cut off from the regional centres can vary anything from 1 day through to maybe 10 days at the worst. To be prepared for that, we sort of familiarise ourselves with all the different council roads that we can use, so we can access. When Gundawindi gets cut off, we can go to St George. When St George gets cut off, we can go to Moree. But it's important that you know where the water is, because you don't want to spend 3 hours driving and realise you can't get across. The thing to remember there is, even when the floodwater's gone, there might be damage to the roads and they're still cut off, so your fuel supplies and things like that, even though there's no flood left there, they're still going to be impacted on getting supplies. We may, on average, be cut off for a week at the most, but no one's ever got in trouble for over-preparing for a flood, so we try and prepare for even longer than that, because if you're prepared and you don't use the stuff you need, well, you never get into trouble. If you're under-prepared, that's where you're going to have issues. Familiarise yourself with the local helicopter providers and things that we've got. We're always talking to them, and we've got them on standby if there's something we need, or someone needs to go to town, or there's an urgent thing. It's good knowing who they are and what their availability is going to be. The important things that we start looking at when the river systems are full are, firstly, livestock up onto the high ground, the food supplies, stock up for more than what you're going to need. The same with our business inputs. If it's stuff that we're going to use eventually, we'll just overstock because we're not sure what the supply chain effects are going to be further down the line. So fuel, fertiliser, seed, whatever we're going to need to keep the business operating. Other things to keep in mind is mostly safety of people, that everyone's got a good understanding of what could happen. Knowledge is probably the key, and trying to get everyone to be prepared as much as they can. Little things like if there's an issue with power, well, obviously the response time from the power providers is going to be a hell of a lot longer than when it's dry, just due to access of finding faults. So having backup generators and things like that are pretty important with all your food supplies, your first aid, your safety, your boats, your life jackets, especially in the boats. Like, people can get into a panic around water, and that's where things will go wrong. Part of the planning too is know that your levees are going to be higher than your flood height, and know where all your high ground is and where you've got risk points, so you can move stock or be a week in front of the water if you've got to lift things up, or move pumps or anything like that. Our management team will have a checklist that we'll go through prior to the events coming down, or with the potential of an event. So we all know what we've got to get around and check and move and have happen, and helps prevent a lot of risk and a lot of problems later on.